Inspire with Nendrix, the foundation.
Hey, hello, how are you doing? Do you have a few minutes of time to share with me? I just want to talk to you really quick about something. This is Dr. Danielle Hairston with Embracing Arms Incorporated. I'm the president and founder, and I am also the founder of the brand movement, #YourBestLife. And I'm coming to you today with a 5-minute quickie. And so I just wanted to say, I have a lot of friends who do not know how to cook. Do you have friends that don't know how to cook? I have a lot of friends that don't know how to cook. I have some friends who think they can cook, but they don't know how to cook. When I left out of the home for the first time when I was like 17, 18 years old, I was a young mom, moving in with my fiance and really trying to start my life. And no, I think I was 19 because I was a little older. My son was like 1 year old, and I really wanted to try to figure out that I gotta cook. And one of the things that my mother did for me before I left was to give me like this box of recipe cards, right? And she was collecting them. It was some type of membership account she had, and every month they would send her a new little stack of, cards that looked like, index cards, and she put in this little plastic container, and I would organize them for her because it was kind of split up between proteins and porks and vegetables and desserts or whatever. And I love those things, right? And so every time it was the weekend, I would always pull out one of those index cards and say, hey mom, let's try this. And we would go to the market and we would buy all the ingredients for it and try it. We didn't know how it was going to turn out, but we would try it anyway. And so I say all that to say that perhaps, that's something that, you could do. If you're someone who do not know how to cook and you're really struggling and you really want to be a better cook, perhaps one of the things that you can do is to get some recipe cards or contact friends that absolutely know how to cook and, try their recipe a couple times. And then maybe the third or fourth time you've tried it, manipulate the recipe a little bit so you can make it your own and, just start practicing there. Go get amazing, there's amazing cookbooks, in the bookstore or, you can order through Amazon or you can order through your local, bookstore. Find a great cookbook, or maybe there's you have an auntie or a grandmother or maybe a sister that can cook pretty well, and they have a whole bunch of cookbooks in their homes and they don't mind loaning you. I believe wholeheartedly if you know how to read, you know how to cook. I mean, if you know how to read, you know how to cook. Because really all it is reading, right? You read, the recipe and you follow the recipe to a T the first time you try it. And then you just start to manipulate the recipe a little bit more so that it can fit your own palate, what you're comfortable with, what you have access to. The other thing is, you can Google, especially on Pinterest, information about understanding the different types of herbs and spices, right? I think that one of the things that people struggle with when they're exploring cooking for the first time is not really understanding herbs and spices and what to put on what shouldn't be put on what two spices should never be mixed, things like that. So you can go on Pinterest, you can Google that to get information regarding the herbs and spices. I think once you kind of get that mastered a little bit, it makes it so much easier. One of the things I really love to do is I like to pile on herbs and spices. But that only works if you're not using salt. I'm not a big salt user, but if you're using salt a lot in your food, it makes it harder for you to pile on the herbs and spices because it's just too salty. And so I tend to use herbs and spices that don't have a salt base to it, and that way I can explore the seasonings and the herbs and things. And I also just started to grow my own herbs. Yes. It's really awesome. So anyway, I'm coming by to tell you that listen, if you're struggling with learning how to cook, absolutely you can make it a quick hobby. And maybe every weekend, grab a recipe and try it. The one thing that I struggle with the most though is baking. I'm not a good baker. I'm just, so I have a friend that's kind of teaching me the ropes on how to get comfortable with that. But if you know how to read, you can cook. Go grab you an amazing cookbook, ask a friend to borrow theirs, Google it, go into allrecipes.com, and just try out a new recipe once a month, once every week. Grab you some seasonings, put it together. If you don't like it, try it again a different way. Manipulate the recipe a little bit so they can fit your palate and what you have access to, and have fun with it. Have fun with it, but stop cooking all that nasty food. Well, my friend says there's no such thing as nasty food, but stop cooking all that food that folks are going to end up throwing away. All right? Okay? All right, so that's my 5-minute quickie. Go back to doing whatever you're doing. Just remember to go out in the community and embrace someone because they're waiting on you. Continue to live your absolute best life.
My Lacasa boy, this is my residence. My prescription boy, this is my medicine. The world can be sickening, living in house resemblance. Not to mention the media's effort to keep us in the most simplistic state of mind. Lowest age bracket committing the highest rate of crime.